Hey, what's up guys? Today we continue in our series called True Colors. In this series, we're taking a look at Joseph's life to see how he showed his true colors. Today we're saying, I will not hold grudges. Just like all of us, Joseph had good moments and bad moments, but in all of his circumstances, he remained true to God and true to himself. I have a question for you guys. Do you know what a grudge is? Or have you ever held a grudge against someone? Maybe it's your brother or sister, maybe it's a bully at school, whatever it is, once someone has done something wrong to us, we tend to hold on to those things and stay mad at that person. But that's not what God's calling us to do. He wants us to forgive even when it seems really hard and the things that they did to us seem unforgivable. But that's exactly what Joseph had to struggle with. Now, our story left off where Joseph's brothers had been to Egypt and took grain back with them to their homeland, and they didn't even recognize Joseph. So after going back home, the brothers arrived back in Egypt with their little brother. This is where Joseph's dream came true and they bowed down to him. His brothers left and he set up a scheme to make them return, and they did. And that's where our story picks up. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I mean, it was really hard having my brothers back and them not even knowing who I was. So here's the moment. Everything that I've been through, it all comes down to this. I mean, do I tell my brothers or not? And I was really struggling, but I knew that I had to let them know that I was their brother. So I told my attendants to leave us so that I could be alone with my brothers. And then I told them who I was, that I was their brother Joseph, who they had sold into slavery.
And how'd they react? I mean, did they try to apologize or were they happy to see you?
Well, I wouldn't say that. And after I told them who I was, I began to weep so loudly that the Egyptians outside could hear me. And my brothers, however, they were speechless. And they were too afraid of me. They thought that I would want to punish them for what they did to me.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, after all they put you through, it would only make sense for you to hold a grudge against them.
True, it would have been very easy for me to hold a grudge against my brothers. But that isn't why God brought them back to me. I mean, think about it. If it wasn't for them selling me into slavery, would I have ever been in this position to save Egypt by warning them of the famine? And I even told them, but God sent me ahead of you to keep some of you alive on earth. He sent me here to save your lives by an act of mighty power. It wasn't you who sent me here. It was God. He made me like a father to Pharaoh.
Wow, dude. Yeah, I mean, I guess you have a point, but it had to be really hard to treat them with love. But what did you mean when you said it was God who sent you there? Wouldn't that make you mad at God for putting you through all of that?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, God put me there for a reason. How could I hold a grudge against him? If not for me being in slavery, Pharaoh would have never heard about me, and then when the famine happened, no one is prepared for it, and my family and so many families would have perished.
It's true. Man, you really are good at not holding a grudge. I know I would have turned it up like 101% and went crazy on my brothers. Would have been like, you tried to get rid of me and now I have all the power. I have your lives in my hands. Dude, you could have made them into slaves just to get back at them.
Yeah, but what good would that have done? I mean, God showed love to us even when we didn't deserve it. And so I just wanted to show that same love back to my brothers.
Yeah, man, I mean, that's a really good point actually. So, I mean, what happened after that?
Well, I wanted to see my father. So I told them to go back home and bring my father back to me. And once they realized that I forgave them and I had no intentions of harming them, they really began to open back up to me and we began to talk and spend time together. I hugged my little brother Benjamin again because I was just so happy to see that he was okay. And then Pharaoh hears about what is going on and he is pleased that I reunited with my brothers. And he tells them to go and get our father.
Wow, even Pharaoh wanted you to see your family. Mm-hmm. Man, God really has put all of this together for his good.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I knew that God had me in all these situations for a reason, and that my brothers getting shown forgiveness through God made it all worth it.
So, did they ever get back to your dad?
Yeah, I mean, they got back home and told Dad that he needed to come to Egypt because his son Joseph was there and still alive. But he didn't believe them at first, but once they told him all the things I had told them, his spirit was brought back and he said, let us go and see Joseph. But I think that's a good spot to end today's story, and we will finish it out next time.
What? Oh, man, I can't wait. All right, bye, Joseph.
See you, man.
So I think we all have had someone do something to us that seems really hard to forgive. And when we hold on to that grudge, we're only hurting ourselves. Ultimately, that anger takes control of us, and we're not able to love others the way that God calls us to. Joseph, he did have every right to be angry at his brothers and hold grudges, but he knew that God sent him into these situations for a reason. God wants us to forgive the same way that he forgave us. Even when we sin and mess up, God still forgives us, and we're called to do the same. When we do that, we are showing our true colors. So again, today we're saying, I will not hold grudges.